What's going on, guys? This is Burrs. I want to talk to you today about the Ultimak Scout Rail. This is the model M1B or M1-B, and I've been using this for years on my AKs, and this is actually the one that's probably been used the most. As you can see, there's definitely a few paint jobs that have been on this rail particularly, and on this side here you can see it says M1B, made in the USA. And I guess the main question is why, you might have, is why would you use a Scout rail on your AK? Well, in my opinion, it's actually the best upgrade you can do for the sheer fact that the only thing you need on an AK, as far as upgrades go, is really an optic and a light. And this definitely gives you the ability to put both of those on, and it doesn't really increase the weight at all of your rifle, but it allows you to add on the pick rail there on the top. Now, this is made of 6061 aluminum, so it's definitely lightweight compared to the steel version, which is or the steel gas tube that comes stock on almost all AKs, and it allows you on top here about 6 inches to 7 inches worth of rail. It's the same length as a gas tube, obviously. So let's go ahead, and I have one here which I haven't used yet, and actually might be available for sale on the Captain Burrs fan page on Facebook soon. So if you're looking to get into one of these for a decent price, check that out. As far as how this works, and the one thing you'll notice is once you put this on, there's going to be some flex in it. Okay, there's going to be some movement. It's because aluminum, as it heats up, is going to expand a little bit. So you don't want to have it as a a completely tight fit. So that's why it's going to move around a little bit. So when you actually install this, what you want to have is it kind of in between the back and the front, and that's where you want to have the brackets for the barrel, which go on the bottom here, and that's how it attaches with these barrel links right here. Then you have the 4 hex nut screws on the top right there. So you will notice that, so if you get it, don't freak out, because you just have to line it up kind of in the middle, and as you use the gun and run through rounds through it, it's going to expand a little bit and fill those gaps for the most part. Now, as far as how many rounds have actually gone through this Ultimak rail right here, I can't really count. It's easily been thousands upon thousands that I've put through this one, and as you can see on the inside there, it's still clean and clear, and there's nothing going on, which with aluminum you're going to have a much better resistance to corrosion, etc. when you're outside in the elements and all that. Everything's machined very well as far as the actual tolerances, everything. I've never had a problem putting any sort of accessories or anything on the top of here, any problems with that. And the one thing that works really well with it, and I don't have this all put together because I actually switched out to the Troy top here, which is very similar actually to the Ultimak in some regards, but that's why I don't have it installed anymore. As far as what works well as far as a flashlight mount is this one right here, which is the HSP Thorntail. And what you have here, basically what I did was on this side I would have it, and then on this side is where the flashlight would go. So you'd have the one side, which is the bracket, and the other side, which is where the flashlight would go. And this allows you to actually still see through your optic because it is a very low profile mount to it. So, and then what you have here is your flashlight would go through there, and you have that out the front there. And I've had no problems with that, and it worked really well with the Surefire G2X flashlight because it's momentary only. So the only time you would push the button is when you want the flashlight on, and it wouldn't come on other than that. So that worked really well, and that's the setup I had along with an Aimpoint T1 micro red dot, and it was a solid setup. And through all the range time and courses I've gone through, I've had no problems or any interruption in service with the rifle, if you will, or any kind of failures. And that's the one thing you have to look out for as far as getting a system that replaces the gas tube, because the tolerances within the gas tube here are they're specific, because that's where the piston is going through to allow the gas to come through to allow the actual gun to cycle. So the thing you have to look out for is that you're not going to have any obstructions or any kind of machining problems inside of this gas tube that are going to affect the piston from actually moving forward and back to allow the gun to operate. So this is machined perfectly, as I showed you earlier on the inside, and I've never had any problems with the actual operation of the bolt carrier, the piston at all with this Ultimak rail. Another thing you'll hear people say is that their optics, after lots of rounds being fired through and after this gas tube gets heated up, they'll say that the optic turns off or shuts off or stops working. That's the case for a lot of the cheaper optics out there, but with something like an Aimpoint, even this Bushnell TRS 25 that I have here, that's about a $80 red dot, I haven't had any problems with that shutting off at all. So some of the cheaper optics that are out there you'll definitely see that with. But if you're gonna buy a quality optic, you know, I've had no problems whatsoever in that department. So a lot of people will pose the question, you know, how do you clean your gun now that it's kind of bolted down? Or, you know, I use corrosive ammo, so how does that work? I personally do use corrosive ammo, surplus ammo with this, which means you definitely have to clean it down as much as you can after you're done using it. Water works just fine, you know, hot water works just fine, or, you know, I just use simple green. But what I do, and I'm very detailed in how I clean my weapons. I will actually just take this Ultimak rail off and clean it on the inside here, and that allows me to get down to the bottom part here where the gas block is, and I like to be able to get down to there. Some people, you know, this works too. If you take a 12 gauge brush and a 12 gauge mop, you can actually push that down through here and also clean it out that way, and that seems to be successful for some people. So there's multiple ways to clean it, but the question was, does it hold a zero if you take it off and put it back on? I've never seen a huge difference in you know, point of impact based on, you know, taking this rail on and off. And the primary reason for that is when you take off the top, the bottom brackets stay. And normally with the I think there's 2 or 3 different handguards I've used, the Mission First Tactical and 2 kind of basic stock AK handguards, you know, they stay in place. These brackets will stay in place because they're snugged in there by whatever handguard you have. So when you go to reapply the rail back onto the top, it goes the exact same spot it was anyhow. The only thing you have to watch out for, and that I recommend you do, is actually have a level on there, because as you torque these down from side to side, you want to make sure you don't torque down it in a, you want to do it in a pattern. So you want to go back, front, so that you have the same, you know, left and right level to the optic. If you just do one side, you do both on one side and do both on the other side, you can end up having somewhat of an unlevel, you know, optic mounting point. So what I recommend is just put a level on there, and then just do, you know, one back front, and then, you know, front back front. Just make sure you just don't do it, you know, one side altogether and then the other side with torquing it down. That way you don't end up with a unlevel surface. You really can't go wrong with it, and it's the best upgrade you can do, because it's going to give you, you know, a full Picatinny top here for under 1 ounce of what the actual original gas tube was. So you're really not adding any weight to the gun, which is definitely a positive, but you're definitely giving yourself a lot of ability to expand and put on an optic and put on a flashlight, you know, and that's pretty much the only things you need to add to an AK. So if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. If you guys have an Ultimak scout rail, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, or better yet, make a video about it. And until next time, later.